In this life, we face some tribulation, but we not back down, we full of determination. Them might try to hold us back, but not stop the motion. We keep on fighting, yeah, we keep on pushing. We ain't got no quit, she's in our soul. We keep on striving to reach our goal. Rise up and conquer, we warriors old. In this battle we are stand up, we will uphold. We ain't got no quit, she's in our soul. We keep on striving to reach our goal. Rise up and conquer, we warriors old. In this battle we are stand up, we will uphold. You know the journey rough, but we not give up. Our heart full of fire, we spirit tough. We face challenges, but we staying tough. We staying strong, we not take no bluff. We ain't got no quit, she's in our soul. We keep on striving to reach our goal. Rise up and conquer, we warriors old. In this battle we are stand up, we will uphold. You know the journey rough, but we not give up. Our heart full of fire, we spirit tough. We face challenges, but we staying tough. We staying strong, we not take no bluff. So when the road get rocky, we not fret. We chant a prayer, we not forget. Rise up and conquer, we not take no threat. We keep on fighting, we not let them get. We ain't got no quit, she's in our soul. We keep on striving to reach our goal. Rise up and conquer, we warriors old. In this battle we are stand up, we will uphold. We chanting praises, we ain't got no quit. We rise up and conquer, we ain't got no quit. No matter the struggles, we ain't got no quit. We keep on fighting, we ain't got no quit. We ain't got no quit, she's in our soul. We keep on striving to reach our goal. Rise up and conquer, we warriors old. In this battle we are stand up, we will uphold. We chanting praises, we ain't got no quit. We rise up and conquer, we ain't got no quit. No matter the struggles, we ain't got no quit. We keep on fighting, we ain't got no quit. So when the road get rocky, we not fret. We chant a prayer, we not forget. Rise up and conquer, we not take no threat. We keep on fighting, we not let them get. We ain't got no quit, she's in our soul. We keep on striving to reach our goal. Rise up and conquer, we warriors old. In this battle we are stand up, we will uphold. We chanting praises, we ain't got no quit. We rise up and conquer, we ain't got no quit. No matter the struggles, we ain't got no quit. We keep on fighting, we ain't got no quit. We ain't got no quit, she's in our soul. We keep on striving to reach our goal. Rise up and conquer, we warriors old. In this battle we are stand up, we will uphold. We chanting praises, we ain't got no quit. We rise up and conquer, we ain't got no quit. No matter the struggles, we ain't got no quit. We keep on fighting, we ain't got no quit. We ain't got no quit, she's in our soul. We keep on striving to reach our goal. Rise up and conquer, we warriors old. In this battle we are stand up, we will uphold. We ain't got no quit, she's in our soul. We keep on striving to reach our goal. Rise up and conquer, we warriors old. In this battle we are stand up, we will uphold. You know the journey rough, but we not give up. Our heart full of fire, we spirit tough. We face challenges, but we staying tough. We staying strong, we not take no bluff. We ain't got no quit, she's in our soul. We keep on striving to reach our goal. Rise up and conquer, we warriors old. In this battle we are stand up, we will uphold. You know the journey rough, but we not give up. Our heart full of fire, we spirit tough. We face challenges, but we tough. We staying strong, we not take no bluff. So when the road get rocky, we not fret. We chant a prayer, we not forget. Rise up and conquer, we not take no threat. We keep on fighting, we not let them get. We ain't got no quit, she's in our soul. We keep on striving to reach our goal. Rise up and conquer, we warriors old. In this battle we are stand up, we will uphold. We chanting praises, we ain't got no quit. We rise up and conquer, we ain't got no quit. No matter the struggles, we ain't got no quit. we keep on fighting. We ain't got no quit, we ain't got no quit. She's in our soul. We keep on striving to reach our goal. Rise up and conquer, we warriors old. In this battle we are stand up, we will uphold. We chanted praises, we ain't got no quit. We rise up and conquer, we ain't got no quit. No matter the struggles, we ain't got no quit. We keep on fighting, we ain't got no quit.
Oh no! Stop with the ads. I think we're good. I think we've got audio. Tell me if you can all hear my audio. What a frig around. As I said last live stream, we got a few problems at this end with hardware. Hopefully you all can hear me now. All hear me? Sure. Like I am transmitting everything by the looks of things. Yeah, we're good on Goodo. Thank you, Bob. I was working on another channel. Alright, coolies. Thank you, everyone. Alright, let's do some hellos first. Hello number two with potted plants. Goldfish in the house. Shell in the house. How's it going, Jelly? And Mark, hello. Gracie, hello. Jill, thanks for joining us. Alright, and Bob. Go to Bob. Yo. Alright. Ava's mum. Nice. Cool. So let's get some shit underway. Oh, man, I got so much going on at this end. It's been hard to keep up. So I missed a live stream yesterday because I had to go and sort out my car. And of course, we get all the way there. We got no reception, can't stream, can't do anything. I have a scratchy mic. Yes, I'm sorry. I can't do much about the mic. Mic is shit. Just make sure I'm on broadcaster mode with the mic. Am I on broadcaster mode? Must have shut that down. Let me just double check what my settings are for the scratchy. If it's going to cooperate with me. Come now. Let's see how we go with this. Past 1. Let's try that. That's a little less scratchy. Let me know what you reckon. I think your microphone is bad. See how we are now. I was playing with some settings in the microphone, and I think that freaked around with everything. But just got it on a default, and if that doesn't fix, I'll just turn off the blue voice. Have you on my TV listening while resting? Oh, thank you, Gracie. I'm glad you're resting too. Look after yourself. Is that any better? Hopefully. That's the best I got, really. I don't have many choices on this headset. Hey, the good news is laptop's nearly done. I can pick it up in the next couple of days. So hopefully by tomorrow I'll have the laptop. Back again. Sounds like you're in the wind. Am I still in the wind? Bloody hell. Let me get some feedback on this. Let me get some feedback and see what I sound like. face. What you can actually hear maybe is that might help a little bit, perhaps.
Truths and stories gotta collide. Alibis get swept aside. I got proof that can't be denied. The data don't lie, people do. Waves crashing, secrets in the tide. Facts and numbers side by side. Through the chaos,
Great.
I will abide. The data don't lie, people
Bloody
do.
hell.
Look at the records, feel the vibe. Digits and bytes come alive. I stand tall with nothing to hide. The data don't lie, people do.
I'm sorry, guys. My back I am.
Friends may twist and
Settings
tongues
while
may
you're live,
tie.
was it?
Plausible tales shape the sky. In the end you can verify. The data don't lie, people do. It's in the matrix beyond the eye. Hard truth that's flying by. Evidence you can't defy. Data don't lie, people do. Look at the records, feel the vibe. Digits and bytes come alive. I stand tall with
Right.
nothing to hide. The data don't lie, people do.
Bye, people do. Jesus. All right. I was hoping to actually kick off a little earlier, and it didn't happen because of all of this. Today's story. Okay, so Sergeant Barros actually showed us on the screen which part of the tail light was missing. So we've got two parts of the puzzle in yesterday's testimony. Got Karen Reed saying that when she was in the driveway at One Meadows, picked out a piece of tail light that she cracked like an hour earlier on John's car, and then dropped it on the driveway at One Meadows. All right, that's what she testified to. Now, last year I was looking for this video, which is why I was scrambling a little late. I was looking for the video I did last year. I cannot find it anywhere. I know I did a video last year. Still a bit low on the volume. Dude, if I keep playing with the settings, it knocks me out. Here. Volume up. I am on 90% mic input gain and 90% master volume here. So I can't do much better than that. That's where we are at. Let's go. Probably one more setting I can change there. It's up to 90. Or turn your volume up, because I don't want to fuck around with settings while we're actually live and it screws. Jen picked it up. Jen wasn't even there. I'll tell you who picked it up. In trial 1.0, just before, like just after, I think it was just before everybody started turning up at O'Keefe's house, Paul went out, or Paul got one of the friends to go out and run the snowblower over the driveway. I have video of it from trial 1.0. It's one of the family friends out in the driveway of One Meadows running the snowblower over it, and it was picking everything up and blowing it at the fence. And so, yeah, that's where I think that piece got picked up and blown over towards the fence. The Barrows showed us what piece that is, and I am going to show you what piece that is. Freaking close the window. Don't. Let me go back to the tail light pieces. I'll show you which piece it was because Barrows pointed it out. Take two. It's one. View it on YouTube. Damn ads. Wait for the ad to pass. Share this tab. Switch this to looking at the tab. Right. We're getting it together now, guys. This is why I like pre-records because you can delete all these mess ups. All right, let's have a listen to this video because in this video we talk about actually I can just do it without talking about it. This piece right here, see that piece with the little bullet points on there? It's actually upside down here. That black strip goes at the bottom, but I was working out what was flipped when it was photographed, what was the correct direction when it was photographed. So we worked out that that was flipped, the bullets went that way, but that whole thing now is upside down. So this piece here is what he pointed at. So there was a little corner piece in here, and this whole piece is what he pointed at. And so Karen basically says, like I saw that it was pushed in, and I picked it out and threw it in the driveway. And so Barros confirms that it's not missing though, it's on there. Look, we're looking at it. This is the taillight reconstruction. We are looking at it. It is not missing. It is there. The piece that is missing is this bit. See the clear stuff? This bit here. That's the piece that's missing. But this is the piece Barros confirmed when he looked at the vehicle. This is the piece that was missing. That's what I was trying to talk about today. Everyone's going, oh yeah, that piece that's missing. No, it's this one. He pointed right here. And I'll tell you why that's significant. Because when the crash guy showed you that she couldn't have reversed into John's car, he showed you a reversing image that he did with the 3D scans, where he's got her car lined up with his car, it couldn't have hit. But if you put Karen's car sideswiping his car, those taillight pieces stick out about 5 inches on each side. So let me get an image of that up. Let me think about this. Got to remember where all my videos are on this. Here we are. Yeah. Share this tab. Look. All right, have a look here. See how it sticks out about 5 inches on each side? It sticks out. So she sideswiped his car because she was reversing out. If she sideswiped his car, she didn't reverse into it. She sideswiped that. Then share the tab. We are looking at the same thing. Cool. Then obviously we're talking about that piece there because that's on the side of the vehicle. We can go back to BN Trouble's demonstration on that. Let me find Be in Trouble for you, just so you can see what the headlight looks like. Those pieces on the side. Be in Trouble 31. Go there and have a look. Like, he shows you where those pieces are on the side. So I can see which one it is. That's the arm jobby. Look how far it sticks out. It sticks out a long way, right? No, before he smashed this up, he actually showed us what it looks like. So let me get to that one. This one. Put all this together yesterday, but I don't have my usual laptop in front of me after he smashed it up. I don't have my usual laptop with me, and because of what is wrong with it, they are going to wipe it. I thought he showed us this before he smashed it all up. That those things. So see that light there? Oop, go back a bit. See that light there on the side? That is where those two bullet pieces sit over that. I think they're supposed to be aerodynamics, that's why they're shaped like little bullets. But anyway, that's where those pieces sit. And so now we've got two pieces of the story. We've got Sergeant Barrow saying that it was on the very side that it was missing, saying that's what I saw missing. And then we've got Karen saying, well, I picked it out and dropped it at One Meadows. And then we've got video footage of Paul's friend snow blowing One Meadows. So here's the disconnection between that and where it turns up a few hours later. This connection is old mate's snow blowing it. So if nobody picked it up in the driveway and he snow blew it against the fence, then nobody found it until the snow melted days and days later. That's the assumption, right? So when does Proctor turn that piece up? Like suddenly turn up on the scene. So we go back to what we were just watching. Let's go back to the video because I did actually put the dates on it. Says to who found what where. Same thing, just got to double check. When did Proctor find that piece? Yeah. Proctor? Proctor Pooper. Tongue-tied. Found that piece on the 2nd of February. Was the snow melted by the 2nd of February at One Meadows? I don't know. Does anybody else know? I know we've got footage of the snow looking completely gone a little while after that when they went back to photograph John's car, but I think that was like 2 weeks later or something. But this one's found on the 2nd of February. This is the piece that we're talking about. So how did it get from One Meadows to how did it get from One Meadows into Proctor's hands? The only person I can think of is Paul, right? So the reconstructed tail light with that piece, and I'll just show you what Barros pointed at was okay. He pointed freaking hell. Oh my god. We're getting a it's such a short video. I don't even know why YouTube puts ads on these short videos. Alright, see right there? Pointed to this area. He said that piece there was missing. Not round the back either. So what we know is missing. See, I've got a white dotted line around this area. We know that's missing still. He pointed over here and said this is missing. Now, if she was reversing out the driveway and sideswiped him, which I think she did. God, I don't even have that video. Oh no, I've lost it. Oh no. It's on my hard drive that's getting wiped right now. Anyway, so Karen Reid reversing out the driveway. I mean, it's everywhere, but I had an original. That person who sent it to me can resend it so I can restore it. I don't know what I backed up on my external hard drive, but I think pretty sure I didn't do a more recent backup before everything crashed on me and broke. All that stuff is gone. But anyway, moving along. That's what Barros pointed out. So those are the three pieces of information that we got through trial 1.0. Paul or his friend that he organised to come and snow blow the driveway. There was that. Second is Karen doing an interview saying that she picked a piece out and dropped it in the driveway. And believe it or not, Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts are actually corroborating that she did show them her taillight in the driveway at One Meadows. They're corroborating, even though they're trying to change the times around and so that nothing fits with Karen's. They're still corroborating that she was at the taillight showing them in the driveway. Or the ring cam footage from One Meadows is obviously missing for that little snippet. And then she drops that piece in the driveway. Now, it never made any sense to me if that part of the footage backed up what Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts were lying about, that's being specifically the time of that morning that Karen said this and showed them the taillight. If that's all they were covering up, it was just the timestamp, then they could have doctored the timestamp or cut it out completely, which is what they did with her reversing up footage. They just completely wiped the timestamp off the screen. You don't even see the the ring.com watermark in their version. So if that's all they were trying to erase, then they wouldn't have erased it. They would have just done what they did with the others, and that cropped out the timestamp and the other thing, and voila, you've got Karen showing them the taillight. Obviously, it was when she came back from John and everything, when she was taken back after they found him dead and the ambulance took him away. I think Kerry Roberts stuffed her back in the car again, took her back to One Meadows, and then the cops said, no, bring it back. So that is probably where it was shown to her, and it was like 6 a.m. or something. Pretty sure that's what Karen testified to. The thing is, they still took out that part of the ring cam video. Why? Because it shows Karen dropping it in driveway at One Meadows. That is guilty conscience because only Karen and those people knew that she dropped it in the driveway. Cops didn't know. They had to have looked at it and seen Karen dropped it in the driveway and gone, oops, we're busted. Yes, same method would be great. Corn poke. So interestingly, there's guilty conscience there. None of us knew that Karen picked it out and dropped it on the ground. We did get we got a rumour long before trial 1.0 started, all the trolls on the McAlbert side were going around saying, well, Karen pulled all the wires out and did all this stuff in front of them at the farm. I don't know what the fucking farm is, but That was the rumour. It was stuck in whatever it was. They were told someone said the word farm, and Hello. 1, 2. Oh, you piece of shit. They went to sleep. He's going to fucking sleep mode on me. Wait. I am set up. Hang on. I don't know why they're going into sleep mode. Everything's frigging annoying me today. I just want to boot everything. Now my mic volume's back down. Volume, system volume. My back. I don't get any settings for sleep mode. That's what's happening. It keeps going into sleep mode. Keyboard's going to sleep. Headphones going to sleep. Give me back my Mac. I want my laptop back. We're good. You can hear me? God. I don't even know what I was saying when they went to sleep. Sorry. I don't know why it's going to sleep. I'm talking through the mic, so it should be awake, right? Stay the fuck awake. God damn it. Right. What I was saying is that the light sticks out the side. I don't actually have an image of it, which I thought I did. Thought I had a better image of how far it sticks out, like this way, which is kind of what I was trying to show you, that she side swipe because it sticks out that way. Watching to see if this pulls back in front of this. So when it's coming across, you might see how far out it sticks out. Like 2 frames. Don't get to see how far out it sticks out. But it does come out. See how you can just see that angle there? So it does come out like 5 or 6 inches. But anyway. All right. For science, you have to hit it with a hammer. Totally sucks. Exactly. Sorry, guys. We'll be back in action in the next couple of days. Probably should check my messages just to make sure that it's not fixed and waiting for me already. But anyway, point being, she sideswiped. She didn't reverse into it. She sideswiped. So that matches up with what Barros is saying about about this part here being missing. That's what she hit on John's car. This part here was most likely those 2 bullet things sticking out the furthest that pushed it in and broke it off here and down here. That is my guesstimation. So my X-Trail has very similar taillights. They stuck out about 5 centimeters on the outside. Yeah, we're talking like 5 inches, but we're talking about this sticks out way far. And it's part of that design, essentially. So might get to see, share this one again. Might get, oh, it's shadowed. In a shadow there. Thought we might get to see how far out it sticks, but you can clearly see she sideswiped. She didn't actually hit the rear area, rear corner. She sideswiped. Essentially, yeah, you don't get to see how far out it sticks. Well, you kind of can there. Look, yeah, it sticks out like that. So this shiny thing that everyone's going, oh my God, look at the light. See how it's shining blue? See how up here we've got blue? Down here we've got blue. Over here we've got some blue on the bonnet, shining off the bonnet, and a little bit on the door handles. What these are is this camera has a light on it. So this camera has turned its light on to light up the driveway, and it's reflecting off of shiny parts. So that's actually just reflection because the red plastic is shiny. So, but what we do see here is that they have fucked with this, like, to try and make it look like there's a corner there, that they got their corner all fucked up. Because what we see on the thing is that entire corner is left on there. They got this like hook shape. They messed up what they were going to doctor it with. See, they messed it up. Anyway, you get to see how far out this actually sticks out. So that's the first thing. What it does though is it implicates Paul O'Keefe giving the piece from the driveway at One Meadows to Proctor, right? Because Proctor finds it on the 2nd of February. Voila, it just turns up at 34 Fairview. So we have guilty conscience of them deleting that part of the video where she drops it in the driveway here. If they had kept that video, they would see she pulled the side bit out, dropped it on the driveway, and that's the bit they were trying to delete. But just like thinking that this bit here wasn't worth deleting because they deleted when she pulled in at midnight because they were trying to cover the tracks on what time she actually got back. So so they did that, but they didn't delete this one. So they just fucked up everything like so many times over. They made so many mistakes. But anyway, moving on. So, this implicates Paul O'Keefe in evidence relocation, right? It means that he has just make sure these headphones aren't going to do the same thing on us again. Have any settings for the sleep? Turned all the lighting shit off. Anyway. Okay, it's Paul again. So I did do a video on this. I don't know where it is on my channel. You might want to search back through my videos. I replayed, Trooper Paul doing the actually, is it in this one? Oh my god, it's in this one. Look. We were looking at it the whole time. It's volume back up.
Now, I've already voiced my opinion about where that is. Allegedly. I have a sneaky suspicion I know where those pieces of plastic are. The clear ones. See that pile of snow up against the fence? I bet they didn't look there, did they?
Go. I never knew.
Booking.com has all kinds.
I never knew it was in that video. I knew I had it somewhere, right? Back at the end here. Somewhere here. There you go. Her car was parked right here. And the snowblower is pushing the snow out this way. So he's gone and pushed everything up against that fence, essentially. But that snow didn't melt until days later. So can you see anything when snow blowing? Because the video started too early. It started where, if we'd have got the whole video, like before he started that machine up, we could have like looked and seen if there was anything red looking in the snow. But no, they started this video when he was already doing this. So, but you can go back. I ripped this off Melanie's stream. I don't remember what day. It could have been through It could have been through Paul O'Keefe's testimony in the first trial. So like day 1, I think he wasn't he, or 2? But here's the thing, Michelle. The extra pieces, yeah. But here's the thing. The piece that that Sergeant Barros pointed out, Karen said she dropped it here at One Meadows. The rest of it, you're right. The extra bits that they found, obviously they did that in the Sally Port. Piece that we're talking about today, specifically with that little red bullet on it, that had to be at One Meadows. So, because Karen said it was. Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts corroborated that at One Meadows. She pulled out, she showed them the tail light, she picked a bit out, all corroborating. So you got the 3 witnesses saying that. Well, Karen doesn't have to get up and testify, but they played the interview snip where she said, yeah, I picked a piece out and dropped it in the driveway. Yeah, you're talking about the extra pieces. Gotcha. Follow you now. But now you got 3 witnesses corroborate, 2 other witnesses corroborating what Karen said, that she did do that in the driveway. Just they're saying different times. And now you've got Sergeant Barros saying, I saw that specific piece missing. And Paul, I don't know if that's Paul or his friend. I think it's his friend. I think he testified that that's a friend he got to do that. Snow blowing right where Karen's car was parked. Like that's where he sparks it up and begins the snow blowing, right where Karen's car was parked. So probably because the other cars are parked in the background there. So let me just double check this microphone. Hang on for 1 second. I will probably just dip out for a second. 70% on my battery. All right. Hopefully pressing a button on them keeps them awake for a bit longer. Yeah, let me just make sure I didn't freaking mute myself accidentally. No, we're good. Okay. So yeah, interesting, right? Um. So where are we in our notes now? So I want to know what this means for like Keith. Like, I don't know. Do you get him back on the stand and play the snowblower in front of the jury, so you can get it into evidence and then start talking about it, or do you bring Trooper Proctor back? I don't know that the defense is done with Trooper Proctor. I know they're saying they are, but that might well be strategy because you don't want to alert your opponent what you've got up your sleeve before you do it, right? This would be a total shock. I don't think D.A. Morrissey or anyone is thinking we are going to piece together that Paul found the taillight and gave it to Trooper Proctor. If you don't want to alert the prosecution that this is an angle that you're looking at, or it doesn't have to be Paul, it could be someone at One Meadows, and there was lots of people at One Meadows, but you could use with Proctor. You could bring it in with Proctor and show him this video of someone doing this. How did you get that piece of taillight that Karen Reid just told us in that clip that she dropped there in the driveway? How did you get hold of it? So you could do it through Proctor. I probably wouldn't do it through Paul specifically and like point a finger directly at him, because that will probably not play well with the jury. But you could do it through Proctor. How did you get your hands on that? He's obviously not going to answer it straight. He's going to do the squirm on the seat and avoid answering, and the whole woo to get away with not saying anything. But nonetheless, he's still. I'd still do it that way. I'd bring Proctor out, or you could introduce it by putting Mr. O'Keefe on the stand. I do know that Mr. O'Keefe's on the witness list, so I know he got a subpoena. We know Jan McCabe said the car fix-it guy was at the scene that morning. Everyone, including the car fix-it guy, was there. So you could put him on the stand, I guess, and ask, and that way you still avoid putting Trooper Paul on the stand. But because it was Trooper Paul that found that piece at 34 Fairview, I'd be inclined to do that. But like I said, you don't want to alert your opponent that's what you're doing, which is probably what I'm doing, being a big mouth. Hopefully no one important's watching my stream. They're all over watching Turtle Boy stream. Which is my next topic. Let me just make sure I covered everything here on my notes that I wanted to. The implications for Paul O'Keefe is evidence tampering and obstruction of justice. That would be the implications, though I wouldn't probably go there. But what it does is it ties the O'Keefes into the story that Karen did this. It ties them to it. They have no choice now. There's blackmail material. You guys did this and gave us that piece. Now we can blackmail you with that. So there's no turning back. They can't change their story. They're implicated, which is what I think is going on here. So the rest of my notes on this. So the defense needs to tie those three pieces together. Karen's saying I dropped it. Someone plowing the driveway to show that it would have been found, and then it turns up on the taillight in evidence. So the defense needs to draw those things together for the jury. And then Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts corroborating that Karen did indeed drop a piece in the driveway, or at least showed them the taillight in the driveway, so she was there doing what she said she was doing. In my notes, what the hell's a snowblower thing called? It's called a snowblower. Because I don't have snow here, I didn't know actually what it was called. But yes, it's a fuel-powered snowblower. I'm not. So yeah, and this would be a complete surprise, thing to the prosecution if they did do this and tie those pieces together for the jury. I think that would be awesome. So let's move on now to entered into evidence today. So you all know that Lucky was trying to say that Turtle Boy threatened him, right? Freaking ads out the way. Lucky was trying to say that Turtle Boy threatened him today. And so I just wanted to show you what he tried to enter into evidence. I think it was June the 5th, 2023 was what he that Michelle, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. Welcome aboard, Victor Man, Karen G, Becky Watts, Kathy S, and Jody 617. Leaf blower, snow blower, leaf blower. We have leaf blowers here, right? I didn't know what the hell you called it. No ring cam footage between 5 and 8:30. Other than that reversing out thing, right? Gallagher mistakenly went to One Meadows first. Right, Montana. Called it a welfare check on the children who were already being welfare checked by John's friends. Brennan said that, right? Brennan said that, not Lucky, correct? But I just wanted to show you what he entered into evidence, because this is what he entered into evidence. If I could make that go away, I would, but I've got most of it to go away. So here's the date. See, June the 5th, 2023. That's what he's trying to get in. So Aiden does what, anybody in true crime does, and verifies that this is the person we're talking about. We haven't got our identities mixed up. All right, I was echoing in my coffee cup, so coffee flask. So, is this harassment? I don't know that you could call it harassment. We all like to verify who the hell we're talking about. And I just did a video recently about someone saying Chris Albert had been locked up by the feds for a federal offense. Wasn't Chris Albert. And I literally had to do this. I had to go and verify who the hell we were talking about to prove that it wasn't Chris Albert. This is very common in not just in true crime, but this is also what journalists will do. They don't want to give you incorrect information, so they'll go check the information. But Aiden posts his receipts with his information. That's something that journalists don't normally do. So Brennan construes this as a type of harassment, taking Lucky's photos and stuff from Facebook, which says in Facebook that Facebook is now the proprietary owner of those images, not Lucky. So plus Lucky has his status set to public, or did have it set to public, in order for Turtle Boy to get this information. So it is alleged in the case of Commonwealth, blah, blah, blah. She drove him, deleted all the ring footage, blah, blah, blah. At 5 a.m., she went to meet up with Kerry Roberts, blah, blah, blah. This is how much snow there was on the ground at the time, SFA. This is going back before Trial 2.0, looking at what Aiden had his hands on, which was the original footage. This is where John was found, somewhere here. So we know that this means one of two things. All of these people are lying about not seeing a body, or O'Keefe's body was not on the lawn until the final guess at 1:47 a.m. So if this is true, but what is being lost in all of this is if Karen had left John to die on the lawn, then anyone driving down that street during that 5.5 hour time period would have also seen his body, although most people do not drive in the middle of the night during the beginning of a snowstorm. Some people work municipal or state jobs that require them to be out when most others are sleeping. The most obvious among them being snowplow drivers. There's no mention of Michael Proctor speaking to anyone from Canton DPW or trying to track down whoever plowed Fairview Road that night anywhere in public documents. We have requested the official police report from the state police, but have not heard back. We called Canton DPW Superintendent Michael Trotter, but he has not returned our calls. So remember, Brennan said, he called your boss, didn't he? So when Aiden was calling DPW is a public works, by the way, so the public can contact them. This isn't harassing anyone, to find out who plowed Fairview Road. At that point, he didn't know that it was Lucky. But despite this obvious obstruction from town officials and the state police, we found out who the plow driver was that night anyway. This is Brian Lucky Loughran. I don't know how he found that out, but he did. He has a source. He said sources. So he found out that it was our dude Lucky. He goes on to say, Brian is a lifelong Canton resident who lives close to Fairview Road. His brother Michael sits on the board of selectmen with Chris Albert alongside town administrator Charles Doody. Two dudes, Chris Albert, Doody. There they all are at the golf course together with Lucky. That's Duty. Duty's daughter and Albert's son were both inside 34 Fairview Road on the night John O'Keefe was killed. Duty's daughter has been barely mentioned in this, and she certainly hasn't been called as a witness. Chris Albert's campaign received $100 from Michael Loughran, as well as donations from Chief Ken Berkowitz, who found, quote unquote, taillight evidence a week later and pressured a reporter to remove Brian Albert's name from a tweet about where John O'Keefe's body was found. Camp Police Officer Kevin Albert, Jill Daniels, Brian Albert, Matt McCabe, State Rep William Galvin, Perry Roberts, and a generous $500 donation from a teacher named Dwight Seaman. Just showing you who donated to D.A. Morrissey. Mike, select board position. It goes on, and of course he's his brother, so of course he would. Brian Lucky Loughran graduated high school with Chris Albert and is well liked in town, but known to be a little bit off. A search for his name in Stoughton District Court shows 17 civil actions in which he was the defendant, including a number of judgments against him, totaling tens of thousands of dollars. And I think we find that these are just, I think they're just residential cause other than non-payment of rent. So small claims, just little things, nothing major that we're looking at there. Certainly no criminal records anyway. Probably getting sued for running over shit while he's plowing and stuff like that. Lucky used to work for Chris and D&E Pizza, but also plows for the town. Sources tell us that the Alberts picked on him because he was slow, but accepted him as one of their own. We know through multiple sources in Canton that Lucky was the person who plowed Fairview Road multiple times between 12:30 and 6 a.m. We know the Commonwealth has alleged that John O'Keefe was lying outside of Fairview Road at that time. We know that if Lucky had seen a body, he would have stopped driving and reported that to authorities. We know that he did not do that. Therefore, we can assume that he did not see O'Keefe's body, which would have been physically impossible if a body were there. We know that plow drivers are instructed to be well aware of their surroundings so as not to hit anything, and that John O'Keefe's body was allegedly in plain view 12 feet from the road, next to a fire hydrant. We're told by sources that Brian Albert is believed to have called Lucky Loughran personally after the McCabes left, knowing that Lucky would do anything for the Albert family, asking him to plow Fairview Road. We know that ADA Adam Lally and Judge Beverly Canoni have gone to great lengths in order to make sure that Brian Albert's cell phone is not handed over for forensic analysis. We know that the initial plan prior to seeing Karen Reed's taillight broken was to suggest that John O'Keefe was accidentally hit by a plow. We know that 2:27 a.m. Jennifer McCabe Googled how long to die in the snow, knowing that O'Keefe's body was about to be staged on the lawn and needing to make sure that Karen Reed did not find him before enough time had passed. We know that no one from Canton Police or the state police made any attempt to reach out to Brian Loughran to ask him, Loughran, I can't remember how you say it, to ask him about any of this. I forgot between the start and the end how to say his name. We're told by sources, although Loughran initially had told multiple people about not seeing O'Keefe's body that morning, has since refused to talk about what he saw. And I would say that's because the feds came, right? Lucky Loughran is currently grieving the loss of his wife, Michelle, who died in April. We know that Chris Albert has been publicly offering condolences and help. We know that prior to O'Keefe dying, Lucky was not Facebook friends with many Alberts, but since then he has become Facebook friends with several of them. We're looking for threats here, remember? We know that Jill Daniels had been friends with his wife for many years. Sorry that Brian Loughran lost his wife, but for more than a year, he has withheld evidence that not only can exonerate Karen Reed, but bring John O'Keefe's murderers to justice. Doing that makes him complicit with cop killers, and his silence makes him as evil as the rest of them. I do understand that he likely fears the Albert family, which is why I told him I would not mention his name if he didn't want me to. But he told me that he would not be answering any of my questions, which he shows here. And did you plow 34 failure? I'm willing to keep your name out of it. Don't if you don't want to be dragged into this. I'm not answering any questions. I'm sorry if that makes things difficult. No threats, nothing. Anymore? I hadn't even asked any questions yet. Whose questions did he already answer? I know as a fact that a source who was in touch with the federal investigators told them everything I just reported in this blog. It is highly likely that Lucky has been contacted by them and possibly subpoenaed by the grand jury. He is by far the most crucial witness in this case, and refusing to tell investigators what he saw is a crime. There is no reasonable explanation for why Michael Proctor has not interviewed Brian Loughran. We've put in a request for a police report that we hope will give us more answers. Other than this being yet another example of Proctor orchestrating the cover-up. If any of this is untrue, and then I am begging Brian Loughran, begging, not threatening, to expose him or something, or anyone else involved in this cover-up to sue me personally. Is that a threat? Sue me. I'm begging you to sue me. How is that a threat? You know, Lally added to that whole freaking thank you, Montana Loughran. added, added to that whole freaking thing that he was threatening to expose him. He already did expose him. He said, here he is. He's on Facebook. This is his name. This is where he works. This is who was driving the Plow. Like, there was no threat to expose him. He's just saying this is, I've got my sources all correct here. So there's no threat to expose him. And so what I think, I said Lally, didn't I? And I meant to say Brennan. But what I think Brennan has done here is given the jury evidence that Brennan's making up bullshit because there's no threats in here. So I think it's actually a good thing. I was a little worried about it to start with. Right, that's what I was thinking too. He put a picture of Lucky with Rita into evidence, which is dumb. Because Rita has run for select board, so the fact that he's got a picture with Rita and his brother's on the select board, why is that such a big deal? Did Diva get a pic with her supporter, the commissioner of Boston Police? I don't think so. I don't think so, Tim. Anyway, I think it's great that Brennan put this into evidence after making assertions about what it actually is. Right? He asserted there are threats. The blogger threatened if you don't say what I tell you to say, then I'm going to expose you. None of that is in this document. And Brennan put it into evidence, which means that it goes into the deliberation room with the Pee-wee never does his homework. Exactly, Michelle. Yeah, this goes into evidence and into the jury deliberation room with them. So yeah, surprise, surprise. In the words of Goma Pile. Hello, Lon Solo. Interesting stuff, guys. Interesting stuff. So that is all I had to go over today. So, oh wow, I knocked it all over. Denver. not, not today, Denver. He did the same with the Proctor text, didn't he? Yes, he did the same with the Proctor texts. Got them into evidence. So, wah, wah, wah. So he's done so many cell phones. It's ridiculous. I'm like, but you go back right back to the very, very start. They did all these cell phones. They deleted the footage of Karen arriving at the garage to remove a time stamp for her as an alibi. But they leave her leaving the garage and smashing a taillight in there because they didn't realize when they watched it that she smashed her taillight. So, like all the way back at the start, there's all these freaking cell phones from Dot. that they did. You know, removing videos from John's Ringcam account. I do believe that's going to come out. If I remember correctly, that will come out through. God, I hope it does. Like I said, I don't know how pared down they're going to make their defense, but if we go to find the video for you. Holly Price. That link. What will I remove here? That one. God, did I just mess that up? Press Control C instead of Control V. Control V. Oh no, I didn't. My keyboard went to sleep. Fucker. Right, let me make sure my mic's not going to go to sleep. Just got to hit the button here. Hope it doesn't mute me. Hopefully, just my battery percentages. But heck. All right. Headphones awake. Priorities. There is no proof. Just like he said, he's not talking to anyone himself. That's what Lucky told Total Boy. I'm not talking to anyone else. So this is going back to early. This is going back to like not even 8 months after the incident. So it's early in the piece. Lucky has only after this spoken with the defense, but I think he had at this point spoken with the feds. Right. Today's the day they're going to chop some trees down. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. Got a chainsaw going in the background. I hope you guys can't hear it too bad. So, loneliest lawyer I have ever seen. And Bevy's hands down the most biased judge I've ever seen. I also think she's corrupt too. I agree. Ozzy, how many more witnesses? I have no idea. Karen said they're finishing up Tuesday. So, you know, they are paring it down drastically. It's much to our disgust. You know, here's the thing. None of us are lawyers. None of us are running Karen's case, our defense case. Have to accept that these lawyers are very, very proficient. All right. Anyone who says Alan Jackson doesn't know what he's doing or David Yannetti hasn't prosecuted multiple cases very similar to this and he doesn't know what he's doing actually don't know what they're talking about. Right? Anyway, he did eventually talk to police, but because I did see, I'm pretty sure it's on TV's website. I actually have the interaction where I think it's Proctor and Tully try to get him to say it wasn't a forward edge or something. This is also on TV's website, but we can come back to that in a second. So this is who I think is going to probably testify about ring cam deletions. I don't know if it's shows up on the cloud end who deleted it or which device was used when it was deleted, but I presume it has an IP address associated with it. But anyway, let's. Oh shit! I forgot to share the tab. Hang on. Share this tab. Let's just quickly run through this video because I do have some thoughts and prayers on this.
The data don't lie, people do.
In most towns, a trooper's job is to investigate crime. In Canton, Massachusetts, the job is to pre-edit the timeline, destroy a few search terms, make sure nobody finds the ring footage that might accidentally show the truth. None of this is new to us. Nearly all of the characters in the SPDU attached to DA Meatball Morrissey's office have done these things umpteen dozen times. Trooper Nicholas Guarino, your friendly neighbourhood digital hitman, who somehow missed 30,000 plus messages searched more by her abusers. That's our man Guarino, armed with just enough Celebrite training to operate the menu, but not enough to know what a war file actually is. And then there's Proctor and Tully, the enforcers. They're the ones that show up at your door with a scowl and a subpoena and a pair of handcuffs. And let's not forget the man at the top, DA Meatball Morrissey, the guy who doesn't see a cover-up because he ordered the drywall. You think it's coincidence this whole mess starts to unravel just as the feds circle in? Nah, this is Canton.
11 essential vitamins and minerals, low GI, protein, high in fiber.
This is the Commonwealth, where timelines don't just get cleaned, they get stuffed. That's what this video is about. Stuffing the timestamps. Jennifer McCabe didn't delete her search. She didn't timestamp stuff her Safari history at 2:27 AM. She was too busy Googling how death works at 12 degrees Fahrenheit. The cover-up? That came after. And that's where the fingerprints start showing up. The fingerprints of a guy who had access to every phone, every file, and every forensic report. Can you imagine it? Morrissey sitting there at his desk, sweat dripping off his brow like Tony Soprano who just got a subpoena, dim lights, cheap coffee, probably a cigar.
The feds are sniffing around, Nikki. They're sniffing around like bloodhounds. We need this broad to go down. I don't care how, just get it done.
Yeah, I'll take care of it, boss.
You make it stick, Nikki. You make it look clean. Can you understand me?
Yep, I'm on it, boss.
Proctor's already got the media trained like Labradors. But I need you, Guarino, to lock down this tech shit.
Sir, she googled how long to die in the cold. It's in the war file.
Unwall it, goddammit. Stuff it. Give her a few hockey scores, a PayPal login. Hell, give her fucking Ozone basketball for all I care.
It's not hard to imagine, is it? It seems like in Norfolk County, truth isn't uncovered, it's removed. With a file name, with a timestamp, with a polite nod from Meatball. He and his SPDU don't just investigate crime, they stage it. When Jennifer McCabe googled how long to die in the cold, it was the only search that got deleted. And it was only found, buried like a body in the basement, in a write-ahead log that Guarino didn't even know existed. And if it weren't for Mr. Green, nobody would know it existed. He doesn't wear a badge, he doesn't wear a cape, but he can read a war file like it's the Matrix. Mr. Green is the reason we know the search existed. The reason we know the timestamps were stuffed. The reason Guarino is scrambling for a tech dictionary. Let me show you what I mean by stuffing the timestamps. Do you remember this big long exhibit? The first 8 records and the last 10 records are not from the 2:27 AM period. The rest all happened in the very same time period, 1 minute, 2:27 through to 2:28 AM. The pattern before 2:27, we don't see it stuffed with a lot of activity into 1 minute. From 2:28 AM onwards, we don't see a ton of activity stuffed into 1 minute. This is not a normal pattern in her database history at all. The average time span between each of these records at 2:27 AM is around 1 to 2 seconds. Is she physically capable of clicking and reading that many web pages every 1 to 2 seconds? Probably not. Guarino didn't just delete the damning search from her records. He buried any trace of it beneath dozens and dozens of backfill web traffic. He stuffed the log with hockey scores and PayPal logins and copies of other things that she'd done before. But you can't fool entropy. Every keystroke leaves a footprint, every tab has a signature, and you can't fake what you don't understand. And that's why the war files still held it. That's why Green found it, and Guarino didn't even know it existed. And that's why Morrissey's lost his damn mind. Guarino had to fake the timeline because McCabe's search breaks the prosecution's case, and the only way to preserve the narrative is manipulation. But Green didn't just find the search, he found the digital fingerprint of the cover-up. But guess what? Someone else saw it too. Someone on the other side of the glass. Someone who logs everything. Someone who is on the defense witness list. I had previously made a video about what might or might not be saved on the Google end of things when you perform a Google search. I presumed it wouldn't be a whole lot of data, like just enough to track popular search terms and trends, etc. But oh boy, was I wrong. If you want to see just how much data Google stores on the cloud, go to myactivity.google.com. There you will find a very big long list, if at all you use Google for your searches, of all the searches that you've done.
Why not make your business journey a rewarding one? As a member of Qantas Business Rewards,
I was searching Karen Reid stuff. And if you click on details, it'll give you everything, including your approximate location at the time. I understand it's far more detailed at Google server end. IP address, MAC address, login account, a whole bunch of things. I say all of this big long story, not just to entertain you, but to explain who Holly Price from Google LLC is. I'm sure she has a proper title, but for the purpose of this exercise, she would be the keeper of records at Google. And she's likely going to be testifying that at the Google end, there is proof that the 2:27 AM search happened. Holly Price can verify that the search was submitted to Google servers, not just typed into the search bar and not followed through. She can confirm that the 2:27 AM search was a request that hit Google from a specific IP or device. She can verify the full search query string, house long to die in cold, including the typo. She can tell us the browser type, whether it was on Safari or Chrome, and whether the user was logged into a Google account. As a keeper of records, she can provide metadata about the search event, including timestamp, exact timestamp, server side, nothing to do with Jen's phone, source IP address, device signature, operating system, browser, user agent string, geolocation, whether the search request came via Google search directly or whether it was redirected from another app or browser. But most importantly, that it was not part of a previous tab or session. She can confirm that it was a new tab session or a new browser instance based on unique connection metadata kept at Google, not on Jen's phone. And lastly, she can also verify whether any of the other searches actually happened, or if Trooper Carino backfilled it like I suggested, in which case there would be no matching records at Google server end. I wonder.
Okay, so essentially I went through that whole process to explain to you that just as Holly Price is the keeper of records at Google, we also have, I forget her name now, another keeper of records at Amazon. From what I understand, Brennan did put a motion in to subpoena her. I don't know. I didn't check if she was on the witness list, but there is actually a cloud end, just like there is at Google, recording everything that's done on the ring cam footage. Who deleted it, how it was deleted, what device it was deleted using, who logged in, who didn't, all of that stuff is at the end, and that's assuming they didn't use John's phone to go in there and delete all those records as well before they asked for the report from Ringcam. So that was what the purpose of that was. So I hope Holly Price and I hope the other chickie, I just can't remember her name off the top of my head. I hope they're both involved, because obviously we need Holly Price to verify that that Google search did actually happen and that the prosecution is lying about that. But we also need verification that someone was frigging around whilst John's phone was in the police custody with his Ringcam records. Go back to Morrissey's statement, take out the Karen part. Oh. Yeah, that's not going to work as far as evidence goes, but I get what you're saying. So that's basically what I think. Those are two important people left to testify. Both of those people need to testify, I think, to support the third party culprit defense, because the defense is not taking a hardline third party culprit road this time. We can expect, they might actually pare this down and just stick with what's happened in the trial so far. What we need to understand is this is a new trial. Just because we know all the backstory and we know all the history prior to trial 1.0, we know what happened in pre-trial, we know what happened pre-trial this time, we know all of that stuff, we know all of that. But what is unfolded in this trial is what the jury has seen. And so what the defense is going to do is, with what the jury has seen in this trial, try to present their case to this jury. So it may not include all the things that we think it needs to include. It may not include any ambushes. Like, I would like them to ambush him on how Proctor got that missing piece in his hands, because clearly how he got it is a key detail, because we know it was at One Meadows. So just because that's what I want and think is a great, approach to strategy, I should say, doesn't mean that that's going to be their strategy. They've got what they know the jury has heard, what they know that the jury has comprehended, because they're watching the jury. We're not watching the jury. We don't know what they've comprehended. We get notes on what the jury might be doing, but we're not in there watching them. So we can't make any of these calls. And I also agree with Yannetti, some of these calls aren't even Karen's calls. This is what's best for her defense in this case, and they will advise her accordingly. And if she is, as we think she is, completely and totally 100% trusting of their calls, then she's going to give them, the reins on that. So it doesn't really matter what we think they should do and how we think they should go about it and what information we have that we think we would like to be, furnished with if we were a juror. We're not in the courtroom, and we're not running her case. So, just discussing it is probably alleviating for many of us who are like, why don't they get, what I actually posted on X, why don't we get Barros back? I want to see Barros back on the stand. I want to see them show him the taillight and ask him outright about, is this the state that you saw the taillight in? And they did that this time. I understand that Aiden was speaking with Karen in person about that's what he would like to see, and then they did it. So it may well have been because he said that's what we want. Lon Sole says, no way Morrissey and Brennan let Holly anywhere near the stand. Bev will back up any Brennigans. Thing is, Lon Sole, Bev's got to say we don't let admissible evidence in. It was actually a large part of the prosecution's case to bring in the Google search evidence. It was part of their case in chief. So what the defense gets to bring in she might try to prevent it, but she's not going to do it without causing reversible error because it wasn't the defense that brought it in. It was the Commonwealth. They have a right to rebut the Commonwealth's evidence. So there's no way Morrissey and Brennan have any fucking choice in the matter. I'm sure it will be hotly contested as well if they do want to bring Holly Price in and then, somehow Bev and Brennan say no. But that's where I'm at today. There's a lot of things that we could argue, that defense should bring into this story, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what we think. It's what's been shown to this jury, what has come out in evidence in this jury. We could say, oh, doggies eat pig chew treats. Well, they didn't bring in the DNA evidence. So so why on earth would you why on earth well, you couldn't bring it in because the Commonwealth didn't bring it in their case in chief. So there's a lot of things that we want that weren't shown to this jury that the defense might choose not to show to this jury because it did overcomplex the story in the last case. So yes, Bev will still try to stop everything. I agree with you. I love your content. Fairly new sub. I sing your little ditty all the time. Nice. Well, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you subbed. Bev is doing everything possible to get her. We have what happened yesterday. Get to my notes again. We have there's some new motions by the defense, which I think tie in a little bit about what was going on here. But when Brennan tried to drag the pig DNA in while he was crossing Russell, he scrolling through my notes. I had a lot of them. I forgot to mention mistrial when Brennan was crossing Dr. Russell, the White Queen. He attacked her relentlessly, and out of anger, he raised, because he couldn't trip her up, the pig DNA found on George's hoodie. So going through points that that Alessi made when he argued that was pig DNA was never entered into evidence to begin with, all right? So it was his choice to raise that, but he didn't raise it. So by bringing it up, the jurors have already heard something damaging and unprovable, and the defense has no witness to cross-examine, and the jury is left with a tainted impression that can't be unheard. And that all amounts to prejudice, like probably the most extreme amount of prejudice in this trial to date in front of the jury. It violates the right to confrontation, so the Sixth Amendment, baby. Karen Reid has a right to confront all evidence and witnesses presented against her. That's what the Sixth Amendment covers. And by sneaking in the pig DNA without a testifying expert, Brennan's violated that right. And this alone is automatic grounds for a mistrial. The fact that Judge Bev denied it is a big issue for her. This is probably one of the most appealable, at the top of the list, most appealable errors on her part, because it's highly prejudicial. You don't just drop a biological detail like pig DNA, especially when the accusation is that a dog mauled a man. Then the implication is clear that it wasn't a dog, it was a pig. That this whole dog thing is a joke. It was a pig bite. That's kind of like Brendan doing a cell phone there. Like, even though this is all prejudicial to Karen Reid, this is still a Brendan friggin' self-owning here. Wait, the jury's sitting there going, wait, what pig? We're talking about a pig on on his hoodie. Where'd the pig come into it? But anyway, so I would call it a cell phone. They did exactly what they had to, the defense. So they motioned for the mistrial immediately. They argued that Brennan introduced evidence he specifically chosen not to disclose or argue in his case in chief. And Alessi pointed out that the defense had no ability to rebut it because the Commonwealth never gave them that chance by not putting it in their case in chief. So, so if you want to tie this into the big picture, sort of what the jury's seeing, you know, they're seeing that evidence is withheld when it hurts the Commonwealth. They're seeing they're seeing Brennan lie about what evidence actually is represented, and then getting caught out in those lies. They're hopefully getting the idea that witnesses are being manipulated, coerced, and rewarded, and that prosecutors are abusing the procedure when they lose control. So hopefully that is all sinking in for the jury right now. But Canoni's refusal to allow the mistrial at this particular junction, this is an automatically reversible error on repeal out of all of the list I have from pre-trial 1.0, trial 1.0, pre-trial 2.0, and so far at this trial, this one gets shoveled all the way to the top as the most prominent appealable piece of information. And then right under that, the same judge who let in the 35 pieces of irrelevant taillight junk, was 47, and 23 of those were irrelevant and pieces of plastic that had nothing to do with it, including the taillight on the tailgate. The glass on the tailgate. So that would go like immediately underneath it that she let all this evidence in that has nothing to do with the crime being alleged. So yeah, and let's just pay a tribute to Alessi while we're at it, because the dude is a freaking genius. He did that ad lib. He had no notes on it. It was all done ad lib. Brennan said pig DNA. Alessi went, no fucking way. Put the brakes on, pulled everything up, and off the top of his head, he argued case law. Dude is a freaking genius. Like, I was mind blown. I've seen Alessi's genius in his, color tabbed binders. I knew he was a genius, but to pull this off the top of his head and just quickly go, oh, I already know some case law that freaking backs this up. I'm off and running. He did this at the podium with nothing in front of him, no notes, nothing. He just straight up buried Brennan. So, let's just pay tribute to what Alessi did there. So live in front of the cameras, on the record, without breaking a sweat, he knew it wasn't in evidence. He reminded the court that the Commonwealth chose not to call that expert, asserted the Sixth Amendment violation, preserved it clean for appeal, and put Canoni in a box. And she still chose wrong. So that's definitely a Canoni booby right there. So let's not sugarcoat it. Her denial was garbage. She knows the pig DNA wasn't entered into evidence. She knows Brennan introduced it in front of the jury. She knows there was no way to rebut it. And she still protected the Commonwealth. So, like, lady, no freaking expert to cross. You let Brennan burn the Constitution and then handed him a marshmallow stick. Like, please. But anyway, this does actually play into the defense's strategic. It's a gift to the defense basically, because they proved in front of a jury that the prosecution plays dirty. The fact that he was just allowed to continue on without any instruction to the jury or anything else. proves that she's biased. Hopefully the jury picks up on that. Because they didn't see what went on after they were dismissed in open court. It might be a little bit more subtle for them to pick it up, but it is actually what happened there is actually moral high ground for the defense. It's a pellet ammunition. It's like the highest level of a pellet ammunition. And the fact that the jury heard it and you can't put that shit back in the horse is part of what makes it a pellet gold. So, yeah, they did all that. They did all this after a sidebar. I don't know what was at that sidebar, but I can just imagine Alessi is just like, objection, Your Honor. But whatever he said at sidebar, it's on the record. We know that those sidebars are not being completely recorded properly. We've seen a couple where some of the sidebar conversations have been deleted from the record, so that's a bit of an issue. Da, 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 da. Damn it, headphones just died again. Sorry. God damn it. I forgot to hit the button to keep them awake. I think some of the jurors are looking up stuff. Why do you think that, Mark? Why do you think they're looking up stuff? I bet there's a big S under his shirt. Brennan had to have all files. Dog owners against cat owners on the jury. No notes and all attitude. Alan Jackson's pregnant pause says, indeed, like, Alessi was on freaking fire. On fire. All right. I think we're at the end of all my notes here. Judge Canoni is predictably spineless for denying the mistrial. And she didn't even tell the jury to disregard it. I don't think she did she? All right, that one was on purpose. I didn't just die. Some coffee All right, I think we're done. I think that's all our notes. Let me scroll to the end of the note. Last thing. Obviously, she did limit what Brennan was allowed to say about pig DNA because when he came back after the sidebar and the out of the jury's presence arguments, he did actually come back and not talk about the DNA itself. Talk about a bunch of stuff related to it, but he didn't actually talk about the DNA itself. So some of the things I was thinking about, thinking about the jury psychology would be like, how many people on the jury have a dog and are like, well, my dog eats pig juice? How many would be sitting there saying, a pig bit John on the arm? What the hell are you talking about? Or some of them might just be sitting there going, I don't know what that means, but it sure sounds freaking messy. But any of those responses is good because any of those responses is reasonable doubt, right? I was waiting for Leslie to use a Pacino code or to take a flamethrower to the whole joint. Too much for them not to see it. Exactly, Mark. I agree. So yeah, she let him go on. That's what I thought. That's what I thought happened. She just let him carry on, but he didn't finish what he was trying to argue about the pig DNA. But he did get it in front of the jury. She allowed it. She didn't instruct the jury. So that's that. If even one juror thinks, wait, what if the dog just ate bacon? Or my dog eats pig cheese, what if it's still a dog? Or when other juror thinks, wait, why the hell wasn't there an expert to explain this pig DNA? So, all of these thoughts are still reasonable doubt, and it isn't just reasonable doubt, it's like, what trickery is this prosecution up to? Like, it gives them the idea that there's trickery afoot, right? There's fuckery afoot. Quote Emily D. Baker. So yeah, that's all my notes for today. We covered all the TV stuff. All right, let's just go back to the TV stuff one more time because just June, July, August. Threatened by the DPW not to speak to reporters. Go to that one. Up on the screen. Who threatened Lucky Loughran? Who? DPW threatened Lucky Loughran. Brian Albert bit him. That's the source of the pig. Good on ya. You're not supposed to say shit like that. You're supposed to work with. All right. Kenton cover up part 93. So this is early in the piece. You remember that Aiden only started writing about this story. I think it was in April, like the 10th of April, if I just off the top of my head, in 2023. So, he's already written 93 stories about the whole thing by this date. So, part 47 of the Kenton cover-up series, we first reported the man named Brian Lucky Loughran, the brother of Selectman Michael Loughran, plowed Fairview Road that morning, that John O'Keefe was allegedly lying on Brian Albert's lawn, dying after being struck by Karen Reid. That's what Commonwealth alleges. Lucky Loughran saw nobody and is not listed in any of Michael Proctor's reports. If he saw nobody, then it means John O'Keefe wasn't dying on a lawn and thus had to be inside 34 Fairview Road instead. Lucky is a simple, decent man who has worked for the town for 18 years and wants to quietly live his life in Canton. He did not ask to be brought into this story, but unfortunately for him, when he ploughed Fairview Road that morning, he became the most important witness in a murder investigation. When I first contacted Lucky in June, after finding out that he was the one who ploughed Fairview Road that night, he told me he wasn't answering questions anymore. This implied that he was asked questions by someone. It was unclear who that was since he is not listed in any of Proctor's reports. Proctor did not interview him because he knew that if Lucky Loughran put it on record that he did not see a body on the lawn, it would implicate Proctor's friends, Jen McCabe, Chris, Brian, and Colin Albert. When Lucky's wife, Michelle, tragically passed away in April, one of the first people to reach out and offer his help was Chris Albert. Went through all of that, kind of a review of everything, right? Board selectmen. I recently contacted Lucky Loughran on the phone and spoke with him about what he witnessed that night and the attempts to intimidate him into silence that have taken place since then. Oh, so it wasn't Aiden who did that. It was our conversation in its entirety. What? What the? Sorry. Give me one sec. I think I need to have a mouthful of coffee before I launch into this and get my words straight. All right. they say you couldn't speak with police? Lucky. They said as long as the police have ordered the testimony, I can speak. As long as the police haven't ordered the testimony or have ordered. But it's got to be attached to a subpoena or a badge. I talked to the FBI once already and the private investigators twice. Karen Reed's private investigators? Yes. Did you sign anything with the private investigators, like an affidavit or anything? Lucky there was no affidavit, but they were given the route, how I did the route, when I did the route, and when I go and plow that route. They took me to Fairview and I showed them what I did from Dedham Street to Cedar Crest to Fairview. You should go into evidence to show that Lucky's still telling the same story years later. TB, did you tell him that when you went by the house there was no body? Lucky, yes. B, what time did you go by? 2:30, 3? Somewhere around then. The FBI says they have GPS at 2:30 going by that house. We were told there was no GPS, that the GPSs were broken that night. The FBI got the GPS. Dun dun dun. TB, the trucks have GPS in them and they were working. Lucky, yes. TB, because I think they said that the truck's GPS were not working. Lucky, I just know that the trucks all have GPS in them. TB, when did you last speak to the FBI? Lucky, a few weeks after my wife passed away. April, so back in May. I'm sorry that I'm sorry about your wife, by the way. I appreciate that. Did you happen to see any cars parked in front of the house? There was one. Was it Brian's Ford Edge by any chance? No, it was a Ford Edge, but it wasn't Brian's. Whose Ford Edge it was? I wasn't trying to attack you in that blog, but what happened in that house is so messed up. Not only is an innocent person being blamed for this, but John O'Keefe will never get justice as long as this same shit continues. Like he says, right. You have the power. The fact that you went by there at 2:30 and didn't see a body is game over. Did you ever speak with Michael Proctor? Did he ever interview you? No. When they reached out to you and said not to talk, did they put that in writing? Lucky, yes. Do you have a copy of that email? I do not. That was printed out and placed at our break room tables. And it said, don't speak with Turtle Boy specifically. He said, what it said was if Turtle Boy or someone from Turtle Boy comes to us on the road, we are to give you our names and the comment is to be no comment. If you come and ask, we can give you our names, but the only thing we can tell you is no comment. Turtle Boy, are you cooperating with Karen Reed's lawyers? Lucky, I've not met with them. I've only met with the private investigator and the FBI. So remember what date this is in August, right? If they reached out to you, would you talk to them? Lucky, I would have to be. Yeah, I appreciate your time. Lucky, not a problem, TV. Thank you. You're welcome. Bye. And then he summarizes everything we just learned there. That's TV's Alexis, by the way. Oh, sorry, that's Ford Edge. That's a Ford Edge. There's the 2 Ford Edges. What edge does TB think it is? Wait a minute. Let's go back to this. GPS. Howard drives a Ford Edge, but Lucky claims it's not his. However, this narrows down the population to less than 1% of people who own a Ford Edge in Canton. This eliminates Karen Reed as a suspect, does not eliminate Brian Albert because he did have a Ford Edge. He said it wasn't. If a Ford Edge was parked outside Brian Albert's house between 3 to 5 a.m., in the same spot O'Keefe's body was found, it means they were using it as a shield in order to hide the body from ring cameras across the road. Well, it was being placed in the last spot where McCabe and Ryan Nagel saw Karen Reed idling her Lexus. It also prevent a plow from coming down the street and seeing the body. Michael Proctor never spoke with Lucky Loughran. Have any ideas to who the Ford Edge belongs to? So that's interesting, but we can go and tune in. I'm pretty sure he's talking about this today. So we can stream and see what he's got to say. So the one on the left is a Cadillac. Thank you. I've always thought it was a joke by Proctor. All right, so let's make sure I didn't miss anything over on the reading screen. Colin, thank you. I knew there was someone else who had one, right? Colin had one. But doesn't he get around in a black Jeep now, or is that Chris? I think it might be Chris Albert that gets around in a black Jeep. I'm just trying to remember. There's a dude who's like I think he's an auditor, like a First Amendment auditor. I think that he was followed by the black Jeep and maybe a Ford Edge. You reckon Kevin Albert's got one? I think the person who was actually at the scene, I reckon that's my pick. I don't know. I did hear that one of the other family members did drive one. I just couldn't remember who it was. So let's close out with a quick scroll through X. Word on the street is that Madam Court Reporter has deactivated her Facebook account. Interesting. Michelle. Oh, Michelle. Michelle Supermod in waiting. Let me share this screen. Wait, I've got to get my freaking buttons corrected. Michelle wrote, look at this. Interesting. There's your mouth. There's your claws. Claws. That freaking awesome. Well done. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Colin does have a Jeep now. Right. That's what I thought. Get rid of that Ford Edge, didn't he? But yeah, I love this diagram. Did you make this diagram, Michelle? Who made this diagram? It's freaking awesome. I don't know who I'm shouting out for it, Michelle, because it's not credited. Must be yours. Well done. Love it. What does Lon Solo think of this diagram? Do you love it too? It's freaking awesome, right? Microdots, welcome to Massachusetts, known for lobsters, the green monster, and framing innocent women. And Framingham. Yes, that's how I pictured it. Other people did. So, lucky, I was not threatened by an online blogger. Kelly Diva, the Boston Police Commissioner told me to do the right thing in a private meeting. We all picked up on that hypocrisy, didn't we? We know where Beverly's heading off to. Good time. Look, man, maybe Lally forgot to wash his ass and he's being courteous and making sure it wasn't her. I don't know if you guys caught that, but I didn't until someone actually mentioned that that's what she did in court.
Hey, what's that smell?
Get out of there before I get freaking up. Okay. So buttons up in there, and I didn't want to. Doofus is accusing Lucky of hitting John with his plow. What? Often Doofus. You guys know who we're talking about here, but she just wrote a big long freaking story about, oh my god, I just can't follow this woman's brain, like, honestly. That's right. That's exactly what he was trying to do. Um, yep, just checking on the notes before I continue scrolling. The dumbest people alive, Coffin Dapper. After today, I don't think Lucky is being honest. I think he scraped John with the snowplow and is afraid of getting in trouble. Does even use their freaking brains? Scraped by fucking snowplow, laughing my ass off. What's next? Booped by a 62 millimeter, 7.62 millimeter. He's a lawyer, by the way, for those who don't know. Happily angry lawyer. He's actually on YouTube. Now, this was my initial conversation with Lucky on June the 5th. He did not seek media attention. He wants to plow the roads and tell the truth. And I actually do think that second article was more to the point that he was threatened by DPW. Then people ask why Karina Kay was called by the defense. She is successful, likable, and responsible. She sympathized with Karen. She offered evidence suggesting that Karen liked John's niece and supported her success. She liked John. Sorry, I lost my spot. She liked John and hasn't shunned Karen. She saw affection between Karen and John. She saw a certain act of affection right in front of jealous Higgins. She narrated a video strongly suggesting Higgins was agitated at John at the end of the evening. She opined that Karen did not appear visibly intoxicated. She implied that Jen McCabe wanted Karen and John to leave separately. There was nothing to cross her on. I'd say that is helpful. And the only sober witness in Canton. Exactly. Interesting. That's Beto's take. Turtle Boy thought she was going to. Oh, Larry's going to Dedham. Yay. Turtle Boy thought she was going to talk about. What was it? That Jen McCabe tried to tell her there was CCTV footage of Karen hitting John. Doesn't have snowplow injuries. Enough said. I think they're trying to set Lucky up until Karen. Yeah, I think that's what we all think. That I actually made a video about how that fits into their timeline. Unexpected slam dunk. Let's what Andrea's unexpected slam dunk was.
So John went over to Karen and he gave her a kiss on the forehead. Honestly, I'd never seen something like that before, a boyfriend do to a girlfriend in public. Never saw that. So it just stood out to me. I was like, wow, that's the sweetest thing I've ever seen.
Notice that, guys.
Well, first of all, have you seen that video before?
Didn't walk up and grab her tits, okay?
Do you recognize what did
Oh, that's right. She made a joke about, notice how he kissed her on the forehead and he just walk up and grab her tits. Did you get that, guys? That was her slam dunk. Jack, Ripperjack Media. Hank Brennan is trying to get anything related to Turtle Boy into this trial and is the biggest reach in this case yet. What's next? TV was the culprit in the death? That's what I've been saying all along. He wasn't there that night. He didn't even know about this case until April. TV's got nothing to do with the case. expect TB followers to grow even faster after this failure by Hank Brennan. Oh, I'm sure everyone's digging through his website to see what Brennan entered into evidence, just like we did. After seeing this devastating testimony against her today, Jen McCabe is probably Googling how many countries do not have extradition to the United States. For those who don't know, Jay Jabronius is actually has appeared in like our hot mic moments and some funny stuff. He is a lawyer. He does commentary with he does commentary with Fence Diaries. Very good friends with Ali and her husband. I've forgotten his name. Name just jumped out of my head. Oh my god, names. But you know who I'm talking about. No, we didn't see a thingy, but who's that? Is that Matt McCabe? We don't know. He looks a little skinny to be Matt McCabe, but he was on a diet, I guess. A real FBI agent's take on Kelly Diva. I was actually watching her reaction to this too. Do we want to listen for 10 minutes? Want to listen to a real FBI's reaction, not a pretend one like Coffin Doofus. Came across as honest and forthright. I agree. Do we want to listen to 10 minutes of a FBI agent? Let's see how it goes.
Hi, everybody. Jody Weber with the True Crime Podcast, caught in my web again. I just wanted to do a follow-up video from my one earlier today to give you a little bit more insight into what I think about Kelly Devers' testimony at the Karen Reed trial. Several questions came in that I think maybe I can help give a little bit more explanation to, or a little bit more insight. First up, during my 22-year career, I did have several cases where I would need to interview local law enforcement officers from local jurisdictions. Typically when that happens, the special agent in charge of an FBI field office will make a courtesy call to the sheriff, to the police chief, to the commissioner to let them know, hey, one of my agents needs to interview one of your officers. Now that's done as a courtesy because local departments do help staff FBI task forces. The FBI has task forces for all sorts of different violations, for drugs, gangs, healthcare fraud, terrorism, child exploitation crimes, things of that nature. So it does help because local management, be it sheriffs, police chiefs, etc., they don't like to be caught off guard. So if you give them a courtesy call, they stay happy. If they're not happy, they could pull their staff from the FBI task forces, and then that makes the special agent in charge look bad. So they don't like that. So they try to be courteous about it. So I would anticipate that a phone call was made to the commissioner by the special agent in charge of the Boston field office, letting them know that agents needed to talk to Kelly. Kelly comes in. She sits down. And based on what we heard today, she was given the 1001 instruction. Now, the 1001 instruction is in reference to the 1001 statute, which says it's a violation of federal law to lie to a federal agent while they're working in their official capacity in law enforcement. So if you lie to an FBI agent, you're breaking the law. So let's break down what she told the FBI. She told them she saw Brian Higgins and Chief Berkowitz in the Sallyport on one of the monitors near Karen Reed's SUV. Now here's what I will tell you all. The FBI knows the answers to pretty much all the questions they ask before the interview even begins, okay? She's there to lock in the testimony so they can write it down and document it and then have that for when and if they need to call her at trial. That's what they were doing. The fact that she told them that, she didn't just suck that out of her thumb. She saw that, okay? She saw that. Now, isn't it convenient that in her testimony, she said, yes, I worked overtime on the day shift. That shift ended at 3:45. And based on the timeline given by the defense, the car didn't arrive till 5:30, so I couldn't have seen that. Notice she never gave a specific time when she left the department. Now remember, there's a blizzard going on that day. They probably had a lot of officers out responding to different traffic situations. They had the John O'Keefe situation that morning where officers came out. There could have been officers that may not have been able to get into work that day because of the weather. I want to know, what time did she really leave the station? And is there any kind of proof of it? Do we have her leaving in a vehicle? Can we see that on video? Or is that another video that's disappeared from the Canton Police Department? There's a lot of problems with Kelly stating that to the FBI and now suddenly recanting it and saying, oh, well, I had false memory. Well, what public citizen is ever going to trust you in an official capacity now? How can I tell you something knowing that you've just testified you have faulty memory? How are you ever going to be able to testify again with your faulty memory? I just couldn't believe that. Couldn't believe that. And then there's her conduct and her demeanor. I have had so many attorneys question me while on the stand, and they call me the wrong name. They'll say Jolene instead of Jodine, or Judy instead of Jody, which is my nickname, or they won't call me by my title. They'll say Miss Weber instead of Special Agent Weber. You don't jump on that. You don't pounce. You just let it go. Let it go. Let the attorneys look bad. Don't you look bad on the stand by calling them out. Because you know what? I found jurors don't like that. They don't like that. They don't like when attorneys mistreat a witness. And so do I think Ellen Jackson was deliberately misstating her last name? No, I don't. But I thought her conduct responding to him looked even worse. It looked bratty. It looked immature. It looked obstinate. I mean, okay, let's just give her the benefit of the doubt and say she really did have this faulty memory situation. Then you come in and you say, I was working a double shift. I was working overtime. I saw them.
To answer your question there, Nanya, Bitness, the feds spoke with her because there was actually a recording of her at dispatch telling, I forget who now, it was Paul Gallagher, had called her at dispatch and asked her which address the incident was at. We played it on our last stream. That's why the feds went to talk with her, because they had the wrong address, basically. And I guess they were just investigating why everyone was trying to cover up that happened at 34 and not 32 Fairview. So
them in the Sallyport. I thought it was near Karen Reed's SUV. But then once I realized the timeline, I realized I did see them in the Sallyport, but it was with a different vehicle. How hard is that? Do you have to get snarky? No. She saw Higgins and Berkowitz in that Sallyport. And I have to believe she knew it was Karen Reed's SUV. How many other cars were brought in that day to that Sallyport? Really like to know that. How many Lexuses? How many? I don't think many. I don't think many. So everybody, I think part of the problem here is that this is just another witness in law enforcement and connected to this case that you just can't trust. You just can't. I mean, we've got all the problems with Proctor, Buchanan, Tully. Then we had the paramedic, Nuttall, who said he heard things he couldn't have heard because he was in the ambulance with the door closed. Don't even get me started on Jen McCabe. I mean, the group chat lies from trial number 1. And then, of course, this trial we learned she lied to the FBI and her husband wanted her to call back because he was worried she'd be charged with 1001. Carrie Roberts and her perjury before the grand jury. I mean, there's just been problem after problem after problem. And then we've got all the evidence problems. I just feel so bad for the taxpayers of Massachusetts. I feel bad for John O'Keefe. This is not any kind of justice. Whether you think Karen did this or not, you know, you're entitled to whatever opinion you want to have, but there shouldn't be all these lies by the so-called friends of the family or by anybody in law enforcement. No. So those are my thoughts, everybody. And the commissioner. I forgot about the commissioner. When he told her, do the right thing, that can be taken multiple ways. Okay? Some people might say, oh, you don't want your officer to lie. You want her to be truthful on the stand. But she said it herself. What she said on the stand today determines if she continues to work. Well, that could have a double meaning. Do the right thing could be witness intimidation too. So just, you know, this case, it just keeps on giving, everybody. It just keeps on giving. But if you want to hear more of my thoughts, you can tune into my podcast. I'm on Patreon, Caught in My Web. And I do have a new book out, The Bald-Faced Deception, if you like psychological suspense. Otherwise, thanks for responding to my video earlier today.
Thank you for telling us your story. And I agree that if she tries to, if Deva tries to, if Diva tries, Deva, I've forgotten which it is now. I know it's one or the other, Deva. If she tries to testify in any other court cases, it's going to come up that she has a faulty memory. So I wouldn't be blaming it all on Gen Z. There's a whole bunch of generations involved in this from the top down. Now we know that the police commissioner is also involved. Pretty sure he's not Gen Z. All right. Obviously, we've run out of news because we're getting cat stuff now. What's immortalized?
He wants to put it in, but you have no. I don't think you have a very good foundation for that.
Oh yeah, Dr. Turtleboy's report thingo that I just read for you. Yeah, obviously we've run out of news. Yeah, I forgot to do that. Thanks, Michelle. Today, folks, we have run out. Run out of news, run out of talking points. Cover up is worse than the crime. I'll agree with that. Jen lied twice to the FBI. I'll agree with that too. They're all they're all dying on their sword. Someone's who potentially killed another police officer. Their reputations are ruined. Well, you know, when it comes down to it, what are your choices? You have a ruined reputation versus life in prison for murder. I think they're quite happy to expend their reputations for freedom. That's what my thing is. My take is on the whole thing. How can you have a false memory of something you did not see? No idea. Because remember, what she was seeing in that dispatch room was on the monitors. That was live. Whatever time it happened, it was live and she saw it. So you are indeed correct, Mark. I don't even think her attitude has anything to do with it. Where she's screwed is she has a faulty memory. Prone to faulty memories. That transcript is going to haunt her every single time She testifies in any trial forthwith. Okay. Let's go to some outro music. Outro. Do we have any requests today? There's 2 songs. It's a 6-minute outro. Shall we do that? And there's some Dina singing the Ducky song in between. Do that. Share this tab. Song.
Wheatbix bites.
And mute the ads. All right. Here we are, folkies. Done for today. Covered the main things. Outro music, 2 songs. So you've got 6 minutes to say your hoorays and finish up your conversations in chat. Thank you for joining me today. And we shall do another vent stream. Well, I don't even know when. Do we even have court tomorrow? I think we do. Days of court this week? I don't know. After the next court trial and after the next day of hearings, I will set up another vent stream. Then.
White balls, black boy! White balls, black boy! White balls, black boy!
Occasionally you're stealing now. Living in a world where we shout. Lockdown, she cries for release. Hopes buried, but she won't cease. Chains clatter against broken dreams. Blood and tears in repressive streams. Struggle budding in her eyes. Justice cries while freedom tries. Free Karen Lee, sound the alarm bell. Fight the fight, gonna raise some hell. Free Karen Lee, break the chains now. She won't rest till she's free somehow. Crowds gather in the midnight heat. Voices rising in the dirty street. No more silence, freedom's plea. Hands united for Karen's decree. Steel bar shadows, they are home. This fight ain't one she'll do alone. Echoes ring as we lift her name. Victory kiss in the lips of flame. Free Karen Lee, sound the alarm bell. Fight the fight, gonna raise some hell. Free Karen Lee, break the chains now. She won't rest till she's free somehow. Free Karen Lee. Crowds gather in the midnight heat. Voices rising in the dirty street. No more silence, freedom's plea. Hands united for Karen's decree. Steel bar shadows ain't our home. This fight ain't one she'll do alone. Echoes ring as we lift her name. Victory kiss in the lips of flame. Free Karen Lee, sound the alarm bell. Fight the fight, gonna raise some hell. Free Karen Lee, break the chains now. She won't rest till she's free somehow. District attorney went off the rails. Innocent until proven guilty. Never came out of his mouth. That is outrageous. We are outraged. Before any trial has occurred, he announced the defendant's theory of the case is a desperate attempt to reassign guilt. That is outrageous. We are outraged. He will fight district attorney went off the rails. Innocent until proven guilty. Never came out of his mouth. That is outrageous. We are outraged. Be provided a false notice of discovery, claiming he did not know. We now know that was a lie. That is outrageous. We are outraged. This court should be outraged. Everyone should be outraged. That is outrageous. We are outraged. That is outrageous. We are outraged. This court should be outraged. Everyone should be outraged. Outraged. That is outrageous. We are outraged.
Five little ducks went out one day, over the hills and far away. Mama duck said quack, 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 and only four little ducks came back. Tully, Lieutenant, Fanny, Detective. Four little ducks went out one day, over the hills and far away. Mama duck said quack, 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 and only three little ducks come back. Child, who'd they lose?